Richard just asked me if I want a chocolate cookie, and I'm like, yeah, I want. Actually, he asked me if I want half a chocolate cookie, and I'm like, yeah. And then he said, do you want a whole chocolate cookie? And I said, yeah. And I said, at this rate, the chocolate cookies are not going to last the trip. And he said, well, when we're out of chocolate chip cookies, then we'll leave. And I had this image of him getting up in the middle of the night and just stuffing his mouth with chocolate chip cookies so we would be out of chocolate chip cookies and we could leave.
Hi, welcome to WindGypsy. We're glad to have you aboard. I'm Richard. This is Lisa, and everybody's favorite Ginger the dog. Join us as we sail to the Dry Tortugas, a cluster of small islands 70 miles into the Gulf of Mexico and one of America's most isolated national parks.
We're headed for the Dry Tortugas. We're about 19 miles away, and there is nothing but water as far as you can see on any side. It's beautiful water though. Isn't that a gorgeous blue? It's not the aqua color that we've been seeing, but more of a just a deep royal blue. Never seen anything quite like that. Beautiful things to see while you're sailing.
And it's land ho, the Dry Tortugas, Fort Jefferson. And we're almost there. Almost on the same longitude as Toledo Beach. And as we get a little closer, it is literally just a fort taking up the entire landmass virtually of this key. So Ginger's sitting here waiting to see if the anchor drags before we take her on shore. We are a little close, I think, to this boat next to us. This is why I want to get one of those laser rangefinders. Thought this dinghy setup was interesting with a little lounge chair on the front. We do have to come in here and check in at the ranger station, which I think is right there. We're going to dinghy in as soon as we're sure the boat's secure. And you can see Fort Jefferson in the background there. There comes a seaplane. We missed it landing.
Oh, shoot.
First time we've ever shared an anchorage with a actual seaplane. And there's the seaplane. Cool.
So Lisa has taken to diving the anchor. What a true mariner. There she goes. Down in the water, following the anchor chain. We're not in deep water, it's only 6 feet. But 6 times 7 is 42, so we have 45 feet of chain in the water. So, let's go back to Lisa. Did you find it?
Half buried. So, I always wonder what other people on other boats do when they're at anchor. And you know, they're not exploring the beach or snorkeling or diving on their anchor or doing boat repairs, or what do they do? Oh, and when they're not editing their YouTubes, which must be incredibly time consuming. So this is one of the things we do.
And before you get any weird thoughts, no, we're just resting.
Napping,
Yeah.
reading books, listening to audiobooks, Richard working on his story, fucking around on the internet when we have internet, which we don't here in the Dry Tortugas.
We need a dog bark bleep there.
So, if anybody else has things that they do, I'd be curious to know what they are. So one of the things we are doing, have done while we're at anchor, not working on our boat, not cleaning our boat, not snorkeling, not laying on the beach, not walking on the beach, not bird watching, not fishing, is look at where we are, and we are a little over 1,000 miles, almost directly south of where we started in Toledo Beach.
Yay, Toledo Beach!
We are at longitude 8251.
8251.
And that is just a little bit east of Toledo Beach. We're actually a little south. We are directly south of a point a little bit west of the western edge of Rattlesnake Island in Erie Islands near Put-in Bay.
Yeah, that's where we are. Just get on a plane, go south.
And you'll see us.
Yeah, we'll have a bear for you. You can get a seaplane. There's all kinds of seaplanes coming in here a couple times a day.
Yeah, we're no longer fascinated by seaplanes because they get like 4 a day here.
Yeah.
So
We've become jaded.
yes. 2 Diet Cokes, and I said, oh my, no, I got 2 Diet Pepsis, and I said, oh my God, Pepsi? I haven't been able to get Pepsi anywhere in Florida. And she said, yeah, everywhere except the Keys, that Coke had underbid the Pepsi distributors, so, except in the Keys. So Pepsi has the Keys franchise. But after our scintillating discussion about whether we prefer Coke or Pepsi, and I prefer Pepsi, and one of the people on the tour said she could, even in the grocery stores, and I'm like, yeah, especially in Georgia, even in the grocery stores, you might not be able to get Pepsi, only Coke. Of course, in the South, they call all soft drinks Coke, which does make it sort of confusing. But every cruising guide said, stop at the ferry and get your lunch and your cold drinks. And they have a bar. Notice that I focused on Richard when I talked about the bar.
A bar? I get to go in tomorrow.
Dogs are not allowed on the ferry. It's sort of an overcast day here at the Dry Tortugas. It's not too warm and very breezy. And you can see all the people on the swimming beach, snorkeling off the back side of the fort from the ferry from Key West. The ferry, it's got to be a really cool experience. It's about a 2-hour ferry ride to get here, and you spend a couple hours tour the fort, and they serve you lunch and provide you with snorkeling equipment, or you can swim or just hang out. Anyway, really great experience if you have an opportunity to do that. If you don't have your own boat to get here, which is a rather arduous task. The other thing is every cruising guide, every cruiser says, oh, and don't forget, you can get lunch on the ferry. Like, ooh, we get to eat lunch that we didn't bring and prepare ourselves. And we don't have to pack out our garbage from lunch because you can leave it on the ferry. They also have restrooms on the ferry if you don't want to use your boat restroom, I guess. And these amazing birds are frigate birds. Their wingspan is 7 feet. Although when you think about it, 7 feet is only half of the wingspan of a California condor. But this is one of the few places that they have a breeding colony in North America. I did see them occasionally in marathon, but not in numbers like this. They are spectacular and very prehistoric looking. At the fort, these are the sniper rifle slots. Sort of cool. And this is the inside of Fort Jefferson at Dry Tortugas. This is the parade ground, and it's been taken over by native drought and saltwater tolerant plants. Over there on the right hand side used to be the barracks. It was a 3-story building. It was torn down in the 60s when it became hazardous. And you can see some people over there walking on the top of the fort. Fort Jefferson is most famous for being the place where drmudd was housed after his arrest and conviction of aiding John Wilkes Booth in the assassination of President Abraham Lincoln. When John Wilkes Booth came to his home with a broken leg after jumping from the box where Lincoln was sitting with his wife. Anyway, he jumped off the balcony, broke his leg, but people helped him escape, had arranged to provide him with a horse, and he was fleeing south, but stopped to get his broken leg reset at drmudd's home. And even though the evidence that drmudd was actually guilty or knew anything about the assassination or had concealed information about John Wilkes Booth, has been debatable, and for many, many years Mudd descendants had tried to get his name cleared, but I don't think they had ever been successful. But his cell was here until the fort was closed down in 1870, 76, 78, something like that. So another beautiful sunset at the Dry Tortugas. It was a beautiful sunset yesterday too, and did not seem to adequately presage the thunderstorm that we saw out to the south of us, and then the enormous squall that came through and changed the wind direction in absolutely all 4 quadrants, and not necessarily in order, and caused a lot of dragging and distress among some of the boaters here. But man, look at that sky. Incredible.
Well, it's 6:42 in the morning here at the Dry Tortugas. And this is a bird sanctuary as well as a marine sanctuary. And there are constantly birds moving, making noise. I think they were quiet at 4 this morning, and that was the only time they were quiet. Last night, one of them seemed to end up on top of our mast. Noise, and I came out, and I turned the spreader lights on so it was like daylight, and it was all the way up there, sitting on top of our mast, made a hell of a racket. And I just see this huge wingspan in silhouette with the anchor light, and of course, you know, it was, I don't know, midnight. I didn't stop to get a camera or anything, and it was up there. People in this boat have been kind enough to give us weather updates. They even came over in their dinghy yesterday. We don't have internet connection here, which we knew was going to happen, and the fort has not been posting weather updates. Their weather updates over a week old, so that's kind of surprising. The ferry that comes in here, the captain was very nice and gave me some weather updates too. So this boat down here is a Canadian couple from Midland, Ontario. Spoke with them for about an hour yesterday. Nice conversation. They were doing the Great Loop. They did the Chicago side down the Mississippi. Another beautiful morning here in Florida. In the Dry Tortugas in the Gulf of Mexico. Woo-woo! And this is the first beautiful sunrise I have seen in a while. Just fantastic, coming over that small island key, they call it here, with some palm trees and lots of birds flying around. I don't want to say I haven't been up early enough. But yeah, that's gorgeous. Here is the next seaplane. Looks like it's, or sounds like it's Yeah, there it is, starting to get ready to go. Once the other one was up in the air, this one I could hear it start its propeller moving. I assume the engine was probably still going. Going by the fort now. That's where the dinghies dock down there. Right behind it now. Here's a supply ship at the pier that's in front of the fort. That came in yesterday. And he's starting to take off. Saw our anchor underneath the boat, laying on the top of the sand. Our friends in the Canadian boat, when they were anchored out there, they saw a couple of hammerhead sharks and one 6-foot-long grouper. Kind of cool. Then he got into the water later. He said he got out pretty quick, but I wouldn't have done it.
So here we are on Loggerhead Key, and Richard is contemplating climbing this tree to get a coconut for our dinghy buddy boat companion Pam here. There's their cistern. This looks like the old lighthouse keeper house.
So I got 2 doctors. If something lands on my head, I'm retired. I'm retired, as my dad used to say. But she does all my health care. I'm a nurse.
All right, we got you covered. Right. So again, here is the other side of Loggerhead Key. Ginger walked right up to this door like, okay, you can let me in. I'm ready for the air conditioning. But she seems to have found the coolest place on the island, right underneath the lighthouse.
And this is the glorious foliage behind the lighthouse. That is spectacular on this little key in the Gulf of Mexico. Just sitting here being beautiful. Just like Lisa.
Just like me.
And Ginger.
That's looking rotten.
Aww. So much
all
for the
smushy.
great coconut caper. Okay, we are watching a shark here, John. I don't know if I'm getting it because the sun, of course, is obscuring the screen, but oh yeah.
That's a big one. That's at least 23 feet.
23?
8 feet maybe?
8 feet? I'd go with 8.
Drinks
They have
tonight.
like booby coconut.
Look at that! Success!
Riddles.
So what did you tell him after he opened the coconut?
Booby coconuts.
And,
Put our drinks in them tonight.
but most importantly,
I don't know.
you are my hero!
Oh, you are my hero. What did I say?
Little tiny hermit crab.
So here we are at Loggerhead Key, about 3 miles from Fort Jefferson. We came here by dinghy, but we probably wouldn't have come here unless we came with someone else. There's another couple that came over at the same time. and super calm day.
Like Lisa said, we came here by dinghy. We didn't actually sail and we didn't take someone's pirate boat, but it would have cost me $5 to get a picture of a dinghy for this particular program, and I'm too cheap to do that. So, there we were, having fun in the dinghy.
It is beautiful. Here's Richard finishing up my rice bowl.
Oh, you said you ate too much.
Yeah, I did eat too much, so I'm happy to have you finish it up. I just think it's sort of funny that we're eating a bowl of rice, and here's Ginger hoping she gets some. Yeah, she had dog food. That's in that Tupperware container right there. She didn't want to finish it because she knew Richard would cave and give her part of his sandwich and some rice and some cheese. The water is incredible. It's Richard's favorite color of blue. And there's Fort Jefferson. There's Ginger. There's Richard. And there is Loggerhead Key in the background.
Okay, so this is Thursday. We got here on Tuesday afternoon. A lot of the other boats have left. This is our view. That's part of the bird sanctuary. I don't see anyone swimming down there. It's a catamaran. Our Canadian friends. The supply boat. Water is crystal clear below the boat. That's about 8 feet down. This has been in a couple times, diving the anchor, and she was snorkeling this afternoon over on Loggerhead. I was in once the other day. It's nice. Not too sharky.
So this is a protected nesting ground of the rare sooty tern. There are also knotty terns. And the other day we saw tons of frigate birds, and there are no frigate birds out here today. And one pelican. But we're going to go see if they have a updated weather report. When we came here before, the weather report was already 5 days old. Some of the charming wildlife. This guy looks like he's just about outgrown this shell and needs to start looking for a new one.
And it is another gorgeous morning here in the Dry Tortugas on Friday, March the 8th. Just clear water. Dirty dinghy floor, but clear water.
But here we are on the second floor, and a magnificent view of Bush Key and the sooty tern breeding colony. And they make this noise all day, all night, all through the breeding season apparently. And again, there's the outcropping, what I called the parapet. I don't know what you call it in official fort terms. And there's another one down there. So if you try to come across here and storm the walls, you would be subject to that crisscrossing fire from the parapet down at that corner and down at this corner. And the moat. And there you can see somebody walking along the moat wall. And if you walk along the top of the fort, it does sort of feel like you're just walking along the beach until you realize how high up you are. What an extremely amazing view you have. So this is the North Coal Dock at Fort Jefferson, Dry Tortugas. And most of the people here came by ferry. A couple of people came by seaplane. And Richard, who is face down in the water, snorkeling like a champ. So here comes Richard back from his snorkeling trip.
First time.
How was it?
It was amazing.
Excellent.
All kinds of different fish. Well, not all kinds.
Nice, colorful
Same
little
three
reef
kinds of
fish.
Ginger, over here. Get over here.
Ah, heard that lady rattling some
Chip bag or something?
chip bags and decided she wanted to, now that the lady has left it unprotected, she was going to check it out.
I see her way out there.
I know we want to walk around. Maybe we'll just walk. Yeah.
Way out there.
What? Yeah, they're gonna have it at the well. But it's salt. It's salt water. Oh, is there?
And that is the last little bit of sun setting over the horizon on our last night here at the Dry Tortugas. And it is gone. Surprisingly, we haven't heard... Oh, there it is! We did hear the giant horn today. We did not hear the giant horn last night for some reason.
Well, it's 9:17, and as you can see, the Dry Tortugas are well behind us now. Another sailboat over there. He gets to a good, safe destination tonight. Over there is Spain, but that's too far for us to go. We're not going to do that today.
And here goes the ferry that we saw and enjoyed a few lunches on in Dry Tortugas. Saw it on the AIS a while ago, knew it was coming this way. It's cruising at 24 knots, which is about 3 times as fast as we could ever go. Very nice crew there, very hospitable. Very welcoming to the sailors in the harbor.
If you enjoy our videos, please click like, and maybe even
Subscribe.
I didn't even have to tell her what to say, she knew. We couldn't do this great adventure without the help of John and James Brawley, Hunter Woods, Zach Cupp, and Greg Holland. And thanks to our viewers. It's encouraging to think that these videos might inspire, encourage, entertain, or maybe even just amuse you.